enforcement, firefighters, military lost their lives in the line of duty. Thank you. You may be seated. Kristen, has roll call been taken? Yeah. And Chief Sutter, if you can start with introductions.
Scott Sutter, Chief, Linden Police.
City Clerk.
Don Grice, DPW Director.
Eric McLaughlin, Common Council of the City.
Brad Dick, City Councilor.
Elizabeth Armstrong, City Councilor.
Brenda Simons, City Councilor.
Pam Howe, Mayor Pro Tem.
Danielle Kusan, Mayor.
Mike Gilmer, City Attorney.
Ellen Glass, City Manager. Heather McDonald, City Councilor.
Ray Colbert, City Councilor.
And we did have, we were supposed to have the mosquito control, but that's pushed to another meeting, is that correct?
Yeah, he was unable to attend tonight, so he's planning our September meeting.
So everyone who's here for the mosquito presentation, sorry, going to wait. So we do have no public hearing today, we have no correspondence. Next is the public comment. Anyone wishing to address council should complete a comment card and present it to our clerk, and then you have 3 minutes under public comments. These are for non-agenda items. When there's an item on the agenda, there will be an opportunity for comments at that point. And Ms. Howard, my Mayor Pro Tem, will be monitoring the time on those. First, Marcia Fenton.
I don't usually talk in front of people. I won't even read the Bible in the church where I grew up, Linden Methodist, so this is important to me. My name is Marcia Bignell Fenton. My mother grew up in Linden, and when I was 5, we moved back to Linden, and they lived here ever since. And when they passed, I moved into their home. My mother was a Girl Scout leader, like for 40 years, 4-H leader, Sunday school leader, everything. She and my dad were community. Linden is everything, was everything to them. I wanted to ask, is our meeting being recorded so people can see it?
There is no official recording of the meetings. They're not, it's voice recorded, it's not, we don't have a video recording.
It seems like that would be important for people to understand what's going on and see. I hope that is a change. I was in the museum Sunday. I haven't been able to go because of my immune disorder, but I got really scared for the museum and I went. And there's so much history there that is so carefully recorded. A family that collected rocks, my mother babysat for their kids. Just all these people that I've known about all my life, they've made Linden. They've created Linden. And to move the museum and not guarantee that they'll be back, I think is really awful. It's such a wonderful trip up there to go through the museum. And people have worked so hard to put a lot in a small space. And I don't know why people want to get rid of it. I think there should be a commitment to return. And one thing I think that's important is that not everybody gets the newspaper like they used to. And not everybody knows about these meetings. Not everybody knows the danger that the museum is in. And I think there should be notices in the mailboxes to all homes so they know. I think there should be a community meeting, maybe in the school or something, so everybody knows about this and can discuss it. Because it's their town, it's their museum, and they need to have a voice, and not everybody knows. I'm wondering, what do you all think? Are you wanting to have the museum stay? I feel like there's like an underground plan, like we're saying yes, but we're not really going to do it. And I'm scared. I'm scared for the museum.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman. Marguerite.
Hi, I'm Marguerite Plum. I live on Hickory Street, and for those that don't know me, I was born in this town, and I've been here all my life. Now, I would like to ask a question. Did you vote, all of you vote, to take the museum and the library out, or was that one person's decision?
I'm just gonna respond for the group and remind you, this is not a time for a back and forth. This is for you to make comments to the board. We are not going to do back and forth.
Well, we've never been told for sure that we're gonna go out. First you say we are, then we find out we aren't. Why in the world can't you give us something to go on? We do not know where the museum can even put our stuff. We have no place to go, and we have to be out by the end of January. That does not give us time for anything. There is nothing in Linden that we know of right now to put our stuff. We have 2 floors that we have to get out. I don't understand you people doing this to all of us here. This has been here for so many years, and you're just like, you're just getting rid of us. You don't care about the past or nothing. Someday, some of you people may regret it, because some of your ancestors might be here and want to know what was happening years ago, and there'll be nothing here to show for it.
I'm done in discussion.
Okay, thank you. Monica Lerner, your note said mosquitoes, but you also said et cetera, so I didn't know if you still wanted to address anything, or do you want to wait till the mosquito comes back?
I want to address it now,
Okay.
but it's still a mosquito. I'm Monica Lerner. I live at 152 West Ralston. And the reason I'm talking tonight is, so I have 8 acres, and there's a supposed no drift order, so I don't get any relief on the mosquitoes. And this year the mosquitoes have been awful, and I don't think it's fair, that I'm excluded, with me paying taxes for one thing, and, there has to be a solution. They were supposed to be backpacking, because we do have the pond right behind us, and we have the wetland, to the east of us. So, of course, we're gonna have a lot of mosquitoes. I have animals, that are in danger from the mosquitoes, and then just us in general. And then I found out this afternoon that at Shiawassee Shores, there was a lady that had fallen back where the gondolas are at night, and she laid there for hours, and her main concern was that she got all bit up by mosquitoes. So obviously, the mosquito thing is out of control, and, what is the excuse of, why Shiawassee Shores mosquitoes are not under control?
Thank you, Monica. Ramona?
East 506 North Bridge Street. 50 years ago, Roby and I purchased an old house on North Bridge Street, intending to build a new house within 2 or 3 years. Our 10-year-old daughter, who loved to read, discovered the Linden Library within 2 blocks of our house. The convenience of having the library so handy to our family was a factor in our decision to keep the old house instead of moving outside of Linden. And the museum logically belongs in the mill that is on the historic register. Over the years, I have seen many businesses come and go, usually lasting a year or less, with buildings sitting empty for several months before another business moves in. Is there really a market for small shops and office space in the mill building? If so, would they preserve the character of the historic building? I think not. Please keep the museum and the library in the mill building.
Thank you, Ramona. Gavin Bragg?
Hi, I'm Gavin Brandt. I just recently became a member of the Linden Historical Society. And I just happened to stumble upon this beautiful building, and I walked inside one day when it was open. And I found all these lovely, older people. And all the knowledge that they have is beautiful. And I walk and I see all these things being preserved inside the mill. And then now we have nowhere to store them, We have, as I've said, this great older community, and they're getting obsessed. It tells you something. When the calmest generation we've had, and the greatest generation in the world gets upset, it tells you what's going on. I heard you guys got a grant from Mike Mueller for $4 million. Why wasn't the museum, or the building itself upkept for all these years? The original Linden Library, they had to move from in '69 to the mill building, and that building, the original library, was not upkept, so therefore it had to be demolished. I've heard, this guy that restored his house, Linden wouldn't permit him any money after he put thousands and thousands of dollars into this, restoring this building, yet he doesn't get any money to do, put it on the register. I think we need to preserve it because it's the last bit that we have. Where's our history going? We're not teaching what's going on in the world now. We're teaching things that happened 1,000 years ago. It's important, but no one knows what's going on now. We have these people that aren't waking up. They don't see the world. The world's an ugly place. And it's truly disgusting. I'm 14. I've been through a lot. And then I find happiness and it's just being ripped away. Well, that's all I have. So I'd just like to thank you for your time.
Sarah Phillips?
Sarah Phillips, Linden, Michigan. On September 24, 2023, the City Board carried a motion of 6-1 to hire Woodhill Group to come in and audit departments for potential cost savings. The amount paid out was not to exceed $40,000. As of today, it looks as if we paid out $23,006.25. Can you give us some feedback if the audit has found potential savings in our department? And what dollar amounts are associated with those findings? Secondly, can you confirm if the move to county water was due to water pressure? I've heard so many things, but I guess I just want to clarify right here. Was it a water pressure issue in the Linden community, or like I said, was there other issues, and that's why we're moving to county water? Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Pete Moss?
Pete Moss, I'm president of the Linden Mills Historical Society. Okay, you gotta need I have a couple of definitions here. First of all, I wanted to know, and I haven't been able to get an answer, but there's a difference between restoring, preserving, and renovating. And I'm hearing all of these things going on at the same time, repurposing, redeveloping. I remember a few years ago, I tried to raise money to preserve and restore the mill. And I was told that I had to be open about this, and I gave the city $20,000 for that purpose. And hopefully, I was assuming anyway, that it was going to be used for the restoration and preservation of the mill. And of course, since we were directly involved with the museum as well, it meant the museum too. And I sometimes go back and I think about that, and I think what would happen with this building if we just ignored it. And I just don't have an idea what that would be. we have to realize that we have a jewel in our town. And we should treat that jewel with respect and acknowledge all those who came before us and did so much work to make that building. They erected that building with primitive tools, and that marvelous structure stands there today. And now, and a half a century later, or half a century ago, the Historical Society founded the museum there. And those people, and many of these descendants are still living here. They were part of that. We have someone here that worked on that mill at that time. We have a person here tonight who was married to the first person that set that museum up, founded the museum. And he was actually the village president here, which is comparable to the mayor. Because back then, but there wasn't a mayor because there wasn't a city. So I think that we need to think back a little bit more and treat this jewel with a lot more respect. In those past 50 years, we've had a lot of people who donated their time, their effort, and their money so that future generations can enjoy this marvelous building. Thank you.
Trina Aliff.
Hello, my name's Trina Aliff. I'm not, I grew up here from my grandmother being here. My mom graduated here. I graduated in Lyle. But it was an all-time memory coming to Linden with my grandma. Sorry, this is very emotional for me because she died. That's our all-time memories. I know a lot of you are probably sitting here thinking a golden opportunity to turn this building into profit is taking away something that Linden cherishes and values and has still integrity of, and that's the memories, the community. So my question in this is, why are you taking my memories away? I don't get that with my grandmother, but I get to take my children who also got to cherish those memories with my grandmother, who don't, who still go to Linden School and use that library. Because I don't have access to internet at home. I'm a single mom of 5. And that's their access after school. My homeschoolers, same thing. They get access to the library that children don't have when school's closed. So if the government historical loan is to restore the mill's preservation and its integrity of being a museum and a library, why are the community folks even having to question why the mill's building is being changed for any profit gain? That's a community standing monument, and it needs to be restored as such. Not for any pocketing or any more profit into Linden, but for our children and their future. Because some of them don't have that at home, and that library gives it to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, we do have the consent agenda. There are 4 items on the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda, for unfinished business, the Shiawassee River Water Trail Coalition MDNR Grant Fiduciary.
I'm actually going to let Attorney Gilbert handle this one.
So I think that this was up a month or 2 ago. The coalition is asking the city to serve as fiduciary for purposes of managing the $50,000 grant secured by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. The plan, as I understand it, is to make improvements along the Shiawassee River watershed. Most of the improvements will be outside of the city limits. There may be some that are inside, but I think the idea being that this river passes right through the heart of the city, and any improvements made benefit the city as well as the actual locations where these improvements are made. My initial reaction when presented with this a month or two ago was to recommend that you not do so. I was concerned about the city extending credit, you know, the likelihood of not being reimbursed the money. I've had a conference call with the NDNR and David Blossing, who is really spearheading this effort. And you know, there is still a chance that the city may not recoup 100% of the expenses, although it was assured me by the NDNR that those chances are extremely small. So my recommendation initially was, and I'm not really sure that this is in the public interest, but you all make that determination in the first instance. And so I wrote that letter, brought it back to you, and if you decide that it is, then you can go ahead and become the fiduciary.
Thank you, Mike. Heather, I guess I will start with you on comments or questions.
Well, I guess my question is really the same one I had last time this came up, as to Ellen and I don't know if it's our treasurer or the people of our staff who are going to be responsible for doing the work of this, what their theory is about doing it. Is it something you're responsible, or, you know, you feel like you want to be responsible for? Is it not something you want to be responsible for? That's my question.
Thank you, Heather. Ray?
First question, how much of this is within the city of Linden? Has anybody looked at that? Has anybody?
There was a list given as part of the initial paperwork, which I haven't committed to memory. The large majority of it will be outside the city. That's the best that I can answer.
Well, I think that's one thing we need to look at. I have no problem helping an organization because I think we're financially responsible and we could provide that service. The other thing, to Heather's point, if there's a cost for us to do that, that administrative fee ought to be added into whatever we're talking about here. If it's significant, at least, it ought to be added in. That's my two comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And maybe we need to focus this in a little more and looking at whether or not this is a public purpose. So public purpose means it has the objective for the promotion of the public health, safety, morals, general welfare, security, prosperity, and contentment of the city residents. And it's up to us to decide what that is. I know in our last meeting, we did talk about our strategic plan, and one of the things on the strategic plan is the Mill Pond area, which encompasses kind of our focal point, which is where the Shiawassee River comes out of. And I know we have a lot of things in that area. So I guess I just wanted to point that out to council as we're having that discussion, because I think before we can put anything, even though it's something that would be expending funds for a short period of time, that's something that we would have to first decide. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, right. That is, you can only spend public funds, and in this case, you're being asked to advance public funds with the idea of being reimbursed. You can only spend public funds for a, quote, public purpose, and it's up to you in the first instance to determine what constitutes public purpose. The definition that you read, Madam Mayor, is the only definition that's out there. You know, it obviously leaves much to the imagination. So that's why it's up to City Council first.
Thank you.
is a public purpose, but how much of a public purpose for the city is the question.
Okay. Ray, any additional comments based on that?
No, I think it's important to understand how much of this, how many of the dollars are for the Shiawassee River that's in Linden compared to the other communities. And if it's 90% in Linden or 50% in Linden, it makes sense that we maybe become the fiduciary. If it's a small percentage, why wouldn't another community look at that? So I'd like to, before we approve this, I'd like to know how much of the Shiawassee River coalition that they're presenting represents Linden, water that borders Linden.
Okay. And it does, I believe David Lawson is for the Shiawassee River Trail is, I'm not sure what the title is, he's the president.
Yeah, I do think he's the chairman of the Water Trail Coalition.
Brad, comments, questions?
No, I agree, it's definitely a public purpose, with the kayaking at the mill and the river being the focus of downtown. I, like, with Ray and Heather, I'd like to know how much money is actually being spent in Linden. And then, I mean, the city traditionally charges for services to the DDA and every other group we manage money for, so there should be some cost recovery there, but I don't think it can be part of the grant.
All right, thank you. Elizabeth?
I have two issues. Number one is I want to know if at least 50% of the improvements that we're being asked to fiduciary as a city for are in the city of Linden. It does not sound like they are. The second thing is, what is the percentage-ish that we won't get reimbursed? Those are my questions.
And Mike, you talked about the,
Yes. So there was no percentage given in terms of, 95% or what have you. It was just explained that it would be extremely unusual or rare for the city not to be reimbursed. In terms of the improvements, I'm looking at the letter. It lists 15 different improvements that they floated with MDNR, and none of them identify the area specifically. City versus Fenton versus anybody else. It just talks about the projects in total.
anything else, Elizabeth? Brenda?
My concerns have already been stated. I would just like to see more detail, and I'm sure we'll see that.
Pam?
Well, the Shiawassee River Trail Coalition handles areas between Holly and all the way up to Owasso. So, I mean, that's a huge area, and so we can already say that probably the majority of the work isn't going to be in Linden. But the thing that really does concern me is that, so we would have to have staff do this work, and what would that staff have time to get to if they were doing this work? How much work? I mean, doesn't seem like there's enough money in here to reimburse our city staff for their time spent on this. But due to the fact that they cover such a big area, I mean, I'm sorry, I said Owasso, I think it's actually Chesney, and I've looked into it before. But that's a huge amount of the Shiawassee River that we only are a little part of. So I'm more inclined to think this is not such a good thing.
Thank you, Pam. And Ellen, I guess based on the questions, is it something we could find out, maybe get more specifics about where the projects are? I know some of the things, obviously, if people are traveling down the river, that there's going to be some benefit, even if it starts here in Linden. People are kayaking, putting in here and going down the river, they may have a benefit. But also, getting an idea of approximate staff time, and if there is some kind of a cost that could be reimbursed. Because I understand what Brad's saying, he doesn't want them to have, be treated differently than our organizations that are already paying for staff costs.
The grant does not allow for administrative cost, administrative reimbursement, so we would be asking for that reimbursement to come directly from the Water Trail Coalition. I'm not sure, I'd have to talk to Dave Lossing on that. In the previous packet that we provided when this initially came up, there is a list of projects. I can get with David to find out and identify exactly where those are potentially planned. And we can kind of come up with maybe a very estimated figure as far as costs for administrative, but it's gonna be difficult because if there's, 50 projects at $1,000 a piece, that looks very different than one project at $50,000, right? So it's ultimately up to what the group designates as the projects and the total for reimbursement and stuff. So we can get more detail and come back. So this is the feedback we're looking for.
Okay. Mike, anything else that you wanted from council?
No, I understand the questions, and to the extent I can help get those answers, I'm happy doing so.
Okay. And any questions or comments from the public on this issue?
Thank you.
Ms. Phillips?
Since they're asking Linden to reimburse the money, would it be okay to ask them, like, let's say there's some projects by the mill that we want completed, give them a project based on our area and say, in order to provide you funds, we would like this project, this project, this project. So meaning, can we present them projects in order to provide them funding?
So the grant was approved with the list of 15 projects that they already proposed.
Okay, so you can't add anything to that, okay.
Thank you. All right, seeing no more comments, we will move on to our next agenda item. Under new business, ordinance number 416, to authorize the issuance, sale by the city of Linden of its 2024 special assessment bond.
Eric, would you like to explain the two resolutions in front of the council tonight?
Yeah, thank you. Madam Mayor, members of the council, thanks for having me here again. We've made our way through the special assessment district process, establishing the district's levying the assessments. And we now find ourselves tonight with tonight's agenda items, the bond ordinances, which represent the last formal action that the board is asked to take in connection with the financings. Ordinance number 416 authorizes an issue of special assessment bonds, which would be issued in anticipation of collections of the special assessments, which would repay the bonds. In the event that those are ever insufficient to repay the bonds, then this ordinance also pledges the city's limited taxable faith and credit, which means the general funds would step in and fill any shortfall in the special assessment revenues if that were to ever happen. The ordinance also authorizes a particular method of sale that is different from the last round of bonds we did. If you recall, the last round of bonds, we did a public competitive sale, published a notice of sale, and awarded the bonds to the lowest bidder. Because of the size of these bonds, which are about $870,000 currently estimated, the more advantageous method of sale to pursue is a direct sale to a bank. And the city's financial advisor has undertaken some efforts to get that started. So this ordinance authorizes that particular type of sale, called a negotiated sale or a private placement to a bank, and delegates the authority to the city's authorized officer under this ordinance to take any needed actions, sign necessary documents to effectuate the sale, issuance, and delivery of bonds to a bank purchaser in a direct sale. If it turns out that a bank sale will not be advantageous to the city in consultation with the municipal advisor or the financial advisor, then we do have the ability still under this ordinance to convert to that public competitive sale that we used last time. Publish notice of sale and issue bonds publicly. That's a more costly, more cumbersome, slow process than the direct sale. So we're looking to save the city a little bit of time with the direct sale, a little bit of money, reducing the cost of issuance. And then, as I mentioned, the ordinance delegates authority to the authorized officer to take immediate action to have that occur. Are there any questions on the special assessment bond operating ordinance?
Thank you, Eric. Ray, any questions? Brad? Elizabeth? Brenda?
No questions.
Pam?
No questions.
Heather? Anything else for you, Ellen?
No, just kind of update you, Eric touched on a little bit, but we, our financial advisors, PFM, Carrie Blanchett, she is working with banks that we already have relationships established with, just to see if it's even feasible for us to go that route. So exploring all options, best options.
And any comments from the audience on this agenda item? Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 416 to authorize the issuance, sale by the city of Linden of its 2024 special assessment bonds?
I make a motion that we approve.
Support.
And Kristen, can we have a roll call, please?
Dick?
Yes.
McDermott?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Hassan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda, ordinance number 417 to authorize the issuance, sale by the city of Linden of its limited tax general obligation bonds.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 417, referenced my prior discussion about the special assessment bonds. It's almost essentially the same, except for the security for these bonds is only the limited taxable credit of the city, meaning that the city's funds on hand, general funds, will be used to repay these bonds within existing tax limits. There's no power to exceed those existing tax limitations. If this ordinance is also approved, then with respect to ordinance 416 and 417, the next step will be to publish the ordinances in the newspaper, and then they will become effective 10 days later under section 5.4 of the charter. After that, we'll finalize the term sheet as possible with a direct placement sale in early-ish September, prepare the closing documents, and have it closing by the end of September.
Thank you, Eric. Brad, any questions?
No questions.
Elizabeth?
No.
Brenda?
No questions.
Sam?
No questions.
Heather? Ray?
No questions.
Ellen, anything else for you? Any comments from the audience on this agenda item? Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 417 to authorize the issuance and sale by the city of Linden of its limited tax general obligation bonds?
So moved.
Support.
And Kristen, can we have a roll call, please?
Hassan?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
McDermott?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, resolution number 27-24, approval of Michigan Department of Transportation grant agreement.
So, Madam Mayor, similar to the resolution that was approved for the TIP project for Broad, this is for the remaining portion of Broad from Hickory to city limits. That is from small urban funding to be able to complete the project from Bridge all the way up to city limits. And so we do have to have this approved by city council in order to receive the funding from MDOT.
Okay. Elizabeth, any questions or comments?
No.
Brenda?
No, not at this time.
Pam?
No.
Heather?
No.
Ray?
No.
Brad?
No, take the money.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to approve resolution number 27-24, approval of the Michigan Department of Transportation grant agreement?
I make a motion that we approve. Support.
And Kristen, can we have a roll call, please?
Hubbard?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Hassan?
Yes.
McDermott?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the amended 2024-2026 agreement for City of Linden assessing services.
So the previous meeting, you guys already approved the assessing services, And unfortunately, we didn't catch it, but there was one line that was highlighted in the agreement that was left out, that has been added back in. So the city of Fenton graciously passed it back to us. And this actually helps protect us to make sure that the field work is included in that. So we're not just limited to the 4 hours that they're, in the office, that the field work is also included in the agreement, or in the assessing agreement. So that is the only change, and the city of Fenton has approved it.
Thank you, Ellen. Brenda, any questions or comments?
No, no issue.
Pam?
No.
Heather?
No.
Ray?
No.
Brad?
No.
Elizabeth?
No.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to approve amended 2024-2026 agreement for City of Linden assessing services?
I make the motion.
Support.
And Kristen, can we have a roll call, please?
McDermott?
Yes.
Simons?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Hulbert?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Hassan?
Yes, motion carries. Next item on the agenda for discussion is the ordinance amending Title 3 of the Code of Ordinances by adding thereto a new chapter 35 entitled Code of Ethics. Turn it over to Mike.
Yeah, I'll let Mike take this one.
So last year, there was talk on council about adopting a code of ethics for all public officials. I put together a draft. It was discussed, I think, at work session by council. I don't recall being present for that conversation, but as I understand it, there was some discussion, but no action taken on it. I was asked recently to pick that back up, take a look at it and present it again. I've done that. It's fairly lengthy. I don't expect any action on it tonight. I just thought by including all of you to read it, come back perhaps at a future meeting and express your thoughts on whether it missed the mark or does what you would like done. I'm happy to answer any questions about it, but it's there for the reading.
Thank you. Pam, I will turn to you.
Did you look at the Michigan Municipal League Code of Ethics documents online?
I don't know that I looked at theirs specifically. I looked at many.
Anything else, Pam?
No.
Heather?
Unfortunately, I think it's a good idea.
Ray?
No.
Brad?
No, no comment.
Elizabeth?
No comment.
Brenda?
A very good idea to make this very clear. I like it. And thanks for the opportunity to continue to review and bring it back. I would like to see, and I'm going to look myself what the Michigan Municipal League says. So we'll just do a little comparison. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mike, for bringing this to us. I do think it's important to have. Unfortunately, we need to make sure that everyone understands, and I know there's a lot that's going on in the world today, and it's important we have, so people understand what are the expectations, what's expected of us as your elected officials. Being an elected official, there is a different standard that we're held to, and I think this helps to make it clear to people what that is. I know Denise, you had wanted to make a comment on this, you put it in your comment card.
Yes, my name is Denise Miller, 522 Tickner. I looked at this, I was looking at the agenda for tonight, and I was just wondering, is there anywhere we could read it, or I could read it, what chapter 35 entails? Like I can publicly see it.
It's in the packet that
It's
was
in the
online,
packet?
correct?
And this is a new one, so you're not crossing out lines?
This is a
Nothing?
brand new ordinance that
Okay,
is bringing
so there's
forward.
never been ethics before? Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, so I guess I would just ask council to take a look at this, and then if there are any other comments.
Madam Mayor, I think there's another question.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, you're good.
Why is there no paper copies for people that may not have online access. I know we're in the 2024s, but not everybody knows that this is on there or does it download to their phones because it's PDF filed online. Where can we go to get a printout of this if we wanted any of this?
So it is something that.
Is it City Hall?
Ellen, if you want to address that?
Yeah, so you are capable of downloading it to your phone, we post them the Friday prior to the meeting, the packets, and if you're ever in, need something printed, we can certainly do that at City Hall. So within reason, I guess, that's why we put it out there, for everybody, so they can, download it and look through it.
So it is paper accessible too at the City Hall then?
We don't pre-print copies.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so if everyone can take a look and if they have any other comments, I guess how do you want those filtered through to?
They can be emailed to me.
Okay.
And then I would actually, at this point, we would bring it back for an action item in September. If we, yeah, so.
Okay. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the city manager's report.
Just a couple of things to update you guys on. Today we had an after action meeting on Back to the Bricks. That went pretty well. We actually had slightly over 300 cars for the event, and some takeaways that we'll work on for next year with staff and Southern Lakes Parks and Rec. And we'll get to planning already for next year's event, hopefully, and have a better idea, I guess, hopefully sooner than what we did this year, if Back to the Bricks is going to continue with a tune-up event in the city of Linden. We've already started election prep for November, just off the heels of August. Our website has been updated to include a projects tab, and that information is up to date, so just so you know, Kristen's been working on that. We're also still continuing to work on audit prep for the city's fiscal year end of June 30. And then Wild Child Photography, on the economic development side of things, Wild Child Photography is open in the Wax development on the corner of Bridge and Broad. And I guess, Don, do you mind giving a little bit of an update on Lindenwood project, as that one is well underway? So just a brief update, if you don't mind.
Sure, work is going slower than expected. We did find that some of the maps that were available to the engineers and to staff were not accurate on all of the underground utilities that are there, including an active gas line that's in the area. So work is progressing. They are installing the water main down Lindenwood currently. When I stopped in this afternoon, they were at the corner of Lindenwood and East Street. So they're getting ready to turn that corner, and then they'll start proceeding down.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And city attorney's report?
No new tax tribunal filings, so the only one that's active is Symphony, which is going to hearing in November. Everything has been changed and filed with respect to that, so all that remains is essentially our contested hearing. It's been a very busy month for me, just on miscellaneous matters. I expect that Chief Sutter is going to be bringing back the school resource officer contract with the schools. I reviewed that, made some changes to it. That should be coming back. I was also asked to look at the city's ability to impose some traffic restrictions on local roads, especially since the city's going to be improving some of them. I will be doing that. Also asked to look at funding for the mill building. I will be doing that as well. Just late last week, I received a call from Chief Sutter about the Hickory Street property. Council will recall we were in court with that property owner last year, I think it was. The violations were fixed at that time. Case was dismissed. Unfortunately, the property owner is backsliding and I was asked to see if I could light a fire under him to at least mow the lawn, which seems rather basic. I think that's been taken care of, Chief. So those are all the matters I've been working on and some more.
Thank you, Mike. Next, we have department reports. There are reports from the police department, the code enforcement report, Department of Public Works, and the fire department report. And then we go to council comments. So Heather, I will start with you.
I would like to address the mill building from my perspective. So, since we're continuously being talked at and about, here's what's happening as I know it. Sometime last year, there was a mill advisory committee. Members of the historical commission, some of who are here, were on that committee. They came to us as a council and requested that we put out a request for interest for the building. We agreed to do that. We put it out. As of now, I am not aware of any interest that has come in. After that was done, we were notified we were given $4 million by the state of Michigan. We have until the end of 2025 to use that to renovate, restore, I don't know. The meeting a month ago, we hired an architect. This is when we're going to find out exactly what's going to be done. He's making a plan. We don't yet have a plan, we haven't approved a plan. So then, but the one thing we know is to do a $4 million restoration, you have to move out. It's like if you can't live in your house while you're completely gutting the inside, the outside, and everything else. So they do have to move out for the restoration. There has been no decision made as to what is going to happen to the building after it's done. That will happen, but it hasn't happened. So that's the facts as I know. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Ray, any council comments tonight?
Yeah, just one quick one. We do have a cable consortium meeting Wednesday at Fenton High School Administration Building. The equipment has been received by the schools. I don't think you're going to see any financial requests in the near future. It'll take some months to get next year's request together. And I'll let Brenda report on the Southern Lakes meeting because I was not there last week. That's all I got now.
Thank you, Ray. Brad?
Couple things. I know, Don, you're on vacation, so I'm talking with the guys doing the project, I'm talking to Bro. I believe they're actually going to finish Lindenwood in the next 2 days, make the turn to east, then they're going to go to Maine. So do we have any way to notify the businesses on Maine, since they're going down the road, that's going to be, the road will be closed by those guys when they're there. They work bulldozer or excavator, dump truck side by side, the road will be closed as they progress down the road.
Right, I have a progress meeting tomorrow with the contractor and with the engineer, so they'll update me on the next steps, and we certainly can get the information out there.
And also, since we had to deviate to the road from the yards from Lindenwood, is there any plans yet to do some exploring on Maple before we start cutting driveways and doing things like that?
They will be doing exploratory digging there as well.
And then today, I think I just saw the 26, 29 tip projects, coffee projects, just federal funding, so gotta get those in. And as for anybody that, everybody's suggesting the mill building, the mission given to us originally was to save the building. That was mission one. That was the core mission, was to save the building. The building's now been saved. So, if there's a second and third mission, save the museum, save the library, those are different things. We've saved the mill building. The mill building is going to be saved. We expect drawings in December. The building's gonna look really similar to what it looks like right now. Just with possibly, like I said before, an elevator. That's what we've asked for. There are no decisions on the interior, whether, you know, we don't want the library and museums to leave Linden. So we just don't know if that's the best place. I mean, everybody wants the historic interior of the mill to be preserved for the museum. What you don't realize is the historic interior of the mill is the backside of the rotting exterior of the mill right now. There is no, it's clapboard. The inside is wood that is being removed to replace the exterior. So we lose some of that. And that's also why, you know, it has to be empty. Because it's going to be open, it's going to be see-through. It will be a totally, as we say, transparent project. That will be a transparent project. But in December, you know, I truly expect we'll have a meeting with the town, with everyone else, to review the drawings, to see the drawings, to see what the building's going to look like. Nobody's saying we're throwing the museum and the library out and they're never coming back. Nobody said that. Nobody's voted on that. If somebody asked there was a vote, there's no vote on that. That's not what's being said. We're just saying that the building has to be empty so we can do the first step, save the building.
Thank you, Brad. Elizabeth, any comments tonight?
Just two quick ones. I want to thank Pay It Forward, Linden Pay It Forward for the wonderful family-friendly event they did on Friday. It was absolutely amazing to go to and to see the community like all together like that, having a great time. The second thing is I want to thank all the residents that have shown up. Whether you're happy, not happy, I'm thankful that you're here.
Thank you. Brenda?
Oh, yes, regarding Southern Lakes Parks and Rec things, right? The new guide has just come out. You can find some on the table out here. I just wanted to point out that there is a scholarship grant application in the back for those who might be in need of a little assistance getting into some of these programs. And also, we're hoping to get shovels in the ground for the pathway. So, good things to come. That's all I have.
Thank you. Pam?
So this month, the Metropolitan Alliance is on, which is the discussion of roads in Genesee County, and starts meeting again in September, so I'll have more reports on that next month. And I wanted to say what a pleasure it was to hand Scott Sutter a water bottle after he crossed the finish line at the Crim. My son and I volunteer for that thing every single year. Goodness only knows why, because you gotta be there before 6 o'clock in the morning, because they close our buildings out.
Right, we need you back.
It's to see Scott come across the road, the line. And I think I did see you too, Danielle. It's just there are so many people there. There's like 13,000 people. It was nonstop. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, the Crim is a great event for Flint. And it is nice to see the different people I find along the way. So I want to thank people for coming. I also thank the council comments regarding the mill and kind of where we are. And Heather, thank you for reminding us that the idea of us putting this out for who's interested came before we even knew about the $4 million grant. These are separate things. It's a tough thing because there's a lot of sentimental value. And as Brad said, our idea, our first mission was to save the mill. And that's something that we have been working on for years. And it's always the continual issue of how are we going to come up with the money? How are we going to have the money? And now we have that. Many of us, I know myself, have great memories with my family growing up with the museum and the library. Again, no final decisions have been made right now. We're just moving forward. I also wanted to remind people, as we move forward with projects, this is for everyone. There's a certain command, like a chain of command that we have. So if there's an issue, obviously people can contact us, but contact Ellen can correct me if I'm wrong, and then she will filter things out, so it's not, we can't contact, I can't tell Don Grace what to do. That's not my role. That's Ellen's job, just like I can't tell the chief or the clerks. That is not our role. There is a chain of command that people go through, and I just ask people to remember that, and please reach out to us if you have questions or comments, and a lot of times, if someone reaches out to me, what I'm going to do is respond with copying Ellen and maybe copying whatever department is the appropriate department. So in order to make sure we're getting all the correct information and the right people are involved, I just ask people to keep that in mind. And then we have our financial reports. Low bills today, $70,684.91.
Support, that's under my limit, I can remove that.
And Kristen, can we have a roll call, please?
Simons?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
McDermott?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Hassan?
Yes.
House?
Yes.
Armstrong?
Motion carries. We are adjourned. I believe there are some students there. Any one of us can sign for you. And kudos for you getting here early.